We are gonna go over the RCM side of it, and thank you for joining us. Timely filing and insurance takebacks. This is maybe more for our clients and also for our employees as well, but also even the patients, if they are part of the cycle or circle, then they can actually see what issues we are going through. And when I see these types of issues, the state of the state that we are in, state of Delaware, the regulations have something to do with it. Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall, she was just here like 20 minutes ago, and we need to be able to address some of these issues with them as well. So I do want us to kind of like communicate these, and I know you guys are the great part of this communication and the way that you guys are managing these. So tell us what you have.
Sure. So I actually was on the phone with a patient today and had to explain this process. So like you said, it definitely isn't just for the providers. It's something that patients need to understand as well.
Yep.
So I know that we have the slides up. I'm not sure if that's in the background there. But firstly, timely filing is essentially a set of a time frame in which we can submit claims. So every insurance can be different. It depends whether it's government or commercial. And essentially, if the claim is not submitted to the insurance within that time frame, it has the potential to be denied for timely filing. Go to the next slide, please.
So remember, video is going to run on its own. So you have that's the video running on its own?
I think so.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I can keep up with it.
Yeah. Do you have your PowerPoint with you?
I do not. I'm sorry.
We can print one and bring you one right away, but you can go.
Okay. Yeah. So the video, like you said, is running in the background. So after that first part of what is timely filing, we go into timely filing ranges. So that is going to depend based off of the government insurance. So Medicaid, Medicare, they generally have like a year's worth of timely filing, as opposed to some insurances such as AmeriHealth Caritas or Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna. They're going to have a smaller timely filing range, so a smaller limit in which we can actually submit those claims.
So now when so we are on the timely filing part where each insurance has different time limits, different initial requirements versus they have different requirements for the corrections. So it's kind of like a tight time frame that we have to kind of move very quickly, right?
Correct. So that can be 90 days. It can be as short as 60 days sometimes. Sometimes it can be as long as a year. Where we tend to run into issues with that is if there's any problems. In a perfect world, everything would be submitted within that time frame. But what we often see is if, for example, coverage was retro terminated. So if a patient had Blue Cross and then Blue Cross went back and said, you don't have this anymore, the timely filing for their new insurance comes into question. And it is a little difficult to receive payment from that new insurance. We do have to fight with that.
Sure.
In the loop that's running, I did include like a screenshot of what a timely filing denial looks like on our end, but that does actually transition us into what are insurance takebacks. Do you have anything to say about that? You want me to just keep going ahead with it? Okay. So insurance takebacks is just the term that we use for payment recovery whenever an insurance is trying to recoup money. Sometimes it's because, like I said, coverage had terminated, or maybe they paid an error. Maybe they paid over the amount that they should have. Unfortunately, this doesn't always provide a simple solution because we have to appeal the claim. We have to fight with the claim. And as Kemal had said earlier, we do have legislature in the state of Delaware that does prohibit takebacks past 2 years. However, based off of the terminology with it, it does give a lot of loopholes. So it excludes self-funded plans. It excludes anything for fraud, waste, and abuse, which is a really large category. You can pretty much throw anything into fraud, waste, and abuse. So that limitation doesn't really stand as much as we would like. After we receive an insurance take back, we do have to try to appeal the claim with the insurance and work to get that repaid.
So if you can actually maybe repeat that one more time. So you're saying that if they're self-funded and if they are in that group, what happens with them again?
So essentially, if a plan is self-funded, it is not necessarily held up to that legislation. So normally there will be a 2-year statute for the claims to be retracted or for the insurance to take back their money. If it's self-funded, that's not necessarily true. They don't have to abide by that statute. And we've seen up to 7 years actually where an insurance has come back and taken that money back, which is kind of difficult to deal with.
When I was in our Turkey office and I was doing the training and this whole issue of what's insurance versus what's third-party administrators. So there was that still like the perception is just like here, insurance company is, everyone is insured. So what you are explaining is not everyone is insured because insurance company like Highmark, let's say, or Aetna, their insured population, what they actually take risk is maybe 25%, but 75% of their business is administrating third-party, like self-funded plans. So let's say one of the big hospital systems or state of Delaware, so as an employer, they're self-funded, but they utilize third-party administrators. In this case, it becomes like an insurance, but they're really not an insurance company. It's the in the insurance company, it's running as a different, maybe different section, different department, so that they may actually be, they may be not included in the actual regulation that the insured population is being subject to. So we have the same issue when we have like problems with the claims not getting paid. Then I tell you guys, okay, well, let's file a claim on the insurance commissioners with the insurance commissioner's office. And if it's a self-funded plan, there is not much they can do.
Right. And so the insurance commissioner complaint, it seems like it should be the end all be all, right? So if we're appealing to the highest authority of insurance, it seems that we should be able to get this issue fixed, but they don't seem to have that much way with these plans because that legislation, it doesn't match.
That's it. Honestly, like this topic is important, but it puts a bigger emphasis on this insurance versus TPA business, which really, like most people, have zero understanding. Go ahead.
That were most of my slides. So if you
just got your slides and you finished.
I know. I just got them, but I did remember most of what I wrote. But
so let's actually then. I thought maybe you had a couple more, so I didn't want to ask too many questions, or maybe explain a couple of things. So what we see, like this is also important for our clients. So we work on claims. So then let's say we saw the patient in like April 2019. Well, December 2021, we had a take back. This can happen, right? So that's more than 2 years. Let's stay in the 2-year limit. So let's say in March 2021, we got a take back, meaning that insurances are not paying us like cash, right? So then they don't come here and then they say, here's your money. So they have access to our outstanding claims. So they do an offset.
The garnishing, essentially.
Yeah. So they take the money, their mistake, 2 years later, they come back and then they say, oh, well, we had a little problem there 23 months later. So they said, I'll take this by not paying you for other patients on other claims. So that's exactly what we have, what's happening. Now, on one side of the issue is you are addressing the regulation part of it, but the other side is now we have to take that. Number one, we have to also know this, and then we have to be notified, but most insurances don't. Then we have to find the right insurance. And by the time that's already 2 years. And it's just like the most oxymoron process ever.
Right. And in that statute of limitations, it actually does say that the bill also requires 30 days notice to healthcare providers regarding an attempt to recover overpayments. But again, if you don't meet the criteria, that doesn't matter. So if you're self-funded, if you're part of the state, it doesn't actually apply to as much as you would think. When you're talking about the takebacks as well, we do have a time frame to fight that. So say if the insurance takes back, we file to the new insurance, we get denied for timely filing. We can fight that, but we often run into then timely filing denials. So now we have to fight with the new insurance to convince them that this other insurance mixed up. And so it really becomes a rigorous process that doesn't always result in payment.
Right. And it's and in some cases, this may end up impacting our patients in some way that we may end up billing them because it's coming from their insurance. And sometimes they are really unhappy.
I mean, I would be unhappy if I got a bill after 2, 3, 4 years and I thought it was taken care of. So,
but I think what's important though is like they need to know that they are also part of this process, and you can't just say that, well, I don't know anything about my insurance. No, you need to get to know your insurance because insurance are also sending exponential benefits. So we need to read them. They tell you how much copay, how much co-insurance, what's paid, what's not. So you don't need to wait to get a statement in some cases because you already got the service. Feel free to pay us without getting 5 statements because we won't send you 5 statements, right?
There's the running joke that doctors are the worst patients, but I'd argue that maybe medical billing reps are the worst because I'm always very particular about when I pay my copay.
So, well, I do pay my copay. So I own the practice. I still do because I don't want to get out of the process. Like there's that expectation, right? So, but these are all part of this. I mean, this is our daily work flow that we always see these types of problems. So, like you actually went through one of the biggest take back fiasco in December 2019, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it was more than
still dealing with the aftermath, unfortunately.
For more than $200,000. That wasn't even. We were not notified, and they just start taking the money. And like by the time you try to fix those, you find out that there's self-funded and there's this, there's that, and it needs to be managed better from the state regulation standpoint. And I think with our guest speakers in the future, we can bring up this issue time to time so that they can actually pay maybe a little bit more closer attention. Well, Katie, thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to stay with us.